Alright guys, this is the first of my end of the year lists, and I figured I'm going to get the worst out of the way. I'm not going to do a most, disappointing list, because in order for me to do that, I would want to actually have owned the album, listened to it several times. And really, I don't have any albums like that. I usually listen to a few songs before I buy the album to ensure that I'm not wasting money. But, so if I hear something and I just don't like it, I won't buy the album. That's not to say that I don't have a few albums from this year that didn't sort of disappoint me. Cough Cough Obituary's new album. But yeah, I'm not going to make a whole video about it. This is going to be the list, well, an incomplete list, obviously, of the albums that came out this year that I did not listen to, and a couple that I did listen to a couple times through, but just don't own it and haven't listened to it enough for it to hold a fair place in, my top albums of the year list, or an honorable mentions list even. So there is a couple albums on here, and I will mention those when I get to them, that I did listen to them all the way through, and I will tell you how I feel about them when I get there. But yeah, obviously this is not every album this year that I did not listen to. These are just the ones that I wanted to hear and just never really got around to doing so. I will mention if I, listen to a song or two or something like that, but just as a whole, I didn't listen to the album or whatever. But I'm making this list so you guys don't expect these albums on the end of the year list. Just, because I already know I'm going to, there's going to be people who are like, well, where's this album and where's that album? And hopefully I can kind of thin that down with this video right here. So, I don't know how well it'll work. It's just, I want to make a video, and this is relevant to right now. So, I have a list, and I think there's like 35 albums on this list. I'm just going to run down, I'm just going to mention each one. If there's any specific reason I didn't listen to it, I'll say that. And like I said, if I did listen to it, I will let you know. And the first one I'm going to talk about is actually one of the ones that I really, really wanted to hear the most. But it just recently came out, and I haven't really seen a distro that's actually selling it. I think just the band was selling it, and I don't know, I just didn't go for it. And that's Mortuary Drape's Spiritual Independence. Yeah, Mortuary Drape, if you're not familiar with them, they released the album, All the Witches Dance, which, that album is absolutely incredible. And because of that album alone, I really, really wanted to hear the new album. But, I don't know, like I said, I haven't even heard a song from it. I don't think they released a song from it. I think there was like a little teaser, but it wasn't really like a song. But I was really excited for it, and it just kind of, I just haven't listened to it yet. Next is, the next album I missed is, Toke, or however the fuck you want to pronounce it, with Strident's Huss? It's probably not how you say it, but again, that's one that came out just recently, and I have not listened to it. There's so many things that come out in a year, and, me being relatively new to collecting, there's a lot of stuff I still want to get that has come out in other years. So, yeah, but unfortunately, this is another of the big ones that really upsets me that I ended up missing, because, I love the band, and I'm sure I will end up picking the album up eventually, but I just haven't done it yet. Next is Twilight with 3, Beneath Trident's Tomb. I love the other two albums. The other two Twilight albums are really, really good. And this is one that my local record store has had for a long time, but I just never picked it up. Next is Necrophagia with White Worm Cathedral. I was really excited for this. When I heard that they were releasing a new album, I was really excited. I listened to the song Fear the Priest, I think may have been called, and I really enjoyed it. And again, my local record store has had it for a long time. I just, I prioritize things a certain way, and then sometimes things get left behind. The next thing on my list is one of the albums that I have listened to several times all the way through, and that's Satanic War Master with Fimbulwinter. Now, if I owned this CD, or the vinyl or whatever, if I owned this on some physical format, this album would be in my top 5 albums of the year. But since I don't own it, since I didn't get a lot of time with it, I don't think it's fair to put it on the end of the year list. Again, that's not... I will own the album soon. I just do not have it right now. Yeah, but hey, that's just one of the albums that I've listened to several times through. Absolutely love the hell out of it, but just have not gotten around to actually picking it up. And in order for me to show it on the end of the year list, I really want to own it. I don't want to, just take, what I've heard from YouTube and just talk about that. I'd rather own it and show you and be like this, But I didn't get that with Satanic War Master, so amazing album. It's just, yeah. Next is Goat Whore with Constricting Rage for the Merciless. The couple of songs I've heard from this have been absolutely amazing. Way, way better than anything from Blood for the Master, which I do own. I'm not crazy about that album by any means. But I think I heard 2 songs from the new Goat Whore. FBS, and I don't remember the name of the other one. But they were way better than anything on Blood for the Master. So it's really a shame that I did miss this album. But... that's not to say that's one of the albums that I know is good. I just haven't really listened to it all the way through. And I will own it eventually. Next is another of the ones that really, really saddens me. It's Bluthaus Nord with Memoria Vetusta 3, Saturnian Poetry. I've heard, I think, maybe 1 or 2 songs from that. And it's absolutely beautiful stuff. But... yeah, it's just one that kind of got lost in the sea of everything else that I was buying and that I was, trying to keep up with and listening to. And it's really a shame because I really, really wanted to own that album this year because I know it's worthy of a spot on my end of the year list. Next up is Anon the Throck with Desideratum. Heard great, amazing things about the album. I listened to the single they put out, which I don't remember what that was called, but I really enjoyed it. I never saw it, at my local record store or any other places I buy music physically. So I don't know. It kind of just got lost again in the sea of all the things that I wanted to get. That's just one that sort of got left behind for a while. Which is a real shame, because I really like everything else that Anon the Throck has done. Next is Abysmal Dawn with Obsolescence. I heard the song Inanimate, I think it was what it was called, and that song was so fucking killer, but unfortunately, I just, I never got around to listening to the entire album. There's just way too much stuff that comes out in one year. Next up is Beyond Creation with Earthborn Evolution. I loved Beyond Creation's first album, but since that album came out, which I don't remember when, a couple years ago I think, since that album came out, my taste in music has changed a little bit, and that type of technical metal, like technical sort of death metal, I guess, doesn't really interest me as much as it used to. So, I know that album got a lot of praise, and yeah, that's just sort of saying this album's not going to be on a list later in the coming weeks. Next is another one that's been at my local record store. I've seen it a bunch of times. I've listened to a couple songs, and it's really, really good. But unfortunately, I just did not get around to actually buying the album or giving it a thorough listen all the way through. And that's Internal Bleeding with Imperium. Internal Bleeding have been around forever, and they've released some killer albums. And I'm sure this one was killer too. I didn't get around to listening to it, and that's my own fault. Next is another one I feel like would be in my top 5 had I owned the album and had more time with it. And this is another one that I have listened to all the way through. And that's Abigor with Leitmotiv Lucifer. That's probably not how you say that, but absolutely amazing stuff. Absolutely beautiful. It's such a goddamn shame that I didn't have more time with this album and didn't get to listen to it all the way through as many times as I wish I would. Because right now, you know, I'm in the sort of stage where I'm making my videos, and it's sort of too late for anything to just come in and just, you know, take a spot. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's one of those. And the next one is another one that I listened to all the way through multiple times, but just never got around to actually getting, and haven't had much time with it. And that's Walkin' with Solace and Decay. The EP that came out last year, The Witherfields, I think was what it was called, is absolutely incredible. But I don't know. Again, it's one of those ones the whole time I wanted it. I wanted to buy the album and I wanted to give it the listens that it deserved, but I just didn't get the time, I guess. But again, that one would be on the end of the year list had I had more time with it. Next is a sort of a big one, not for me, but I feel like this is one that is going to make the list of pretty much everybody else. And that's At the Gates with At War with Reality. I heard 2 songs from this album. Don't remember what either of them were called. I did not enjoy what I heard. So, this is one of the ones that I just, you know, I was excited for, because At the Gates, though they've never been a band I've really been a big fan of, they've always been a band that I've, you know, just been meaning to go back and listen to everything they've done. When I heard they were coming out with a new album, I was like, this is the perfect time. But I didn't like the 2 songs I heard, so I just never felt compelled to buy it. So, disagree with me all you want. I was not a fan of the songs that I heard, and don't really ever care to buy the album, quite frankly. Same thing goes for the next one, the Revocation with Deathless, I'm sorry. Again, I've never really been a big fan of Revocation. They've never really done anything that has tickled my fancy, if you will. And the song I heard from this was no different. Yeah, the next one is a one that upset me again. This is a one I heard. This was my introduction to this band earlier in the year, very early in the year actually, and that's Hermoder with Vinter. Yeah, that, you know, absolutely amazing atmospheric black metal, and I have listened to a few songs from that, and I listened to them quite a bit, really, but never got around to actually purchasing the album, nor have I got around to listening to the album all the way through. So, yeah. Next is another band that my introduction was through this year, and that's Rexer, with the new album Ut Humanitatum Cadent. I don't know. This is another one that I really wanted to hear, but I mean, the excuse is pretty much the same for a lot of these albums. Next is Lucifer with Sun Eater. I've listened to a few songs from it, and it's absolutely amazing. I just haven't listened to it all the way through, and it's such a shame, because again, that's one of the ones that I know that album would be on the end of the year, in my top 25 or whatever the fuck I'm gonna do at this point. I don't know. I know that album would be there, but it's just I dragged my feet, and now it's too late. Next is one that I did want to hear, but I wasn't expecting it to be very good, and the 1 or 2 songs that I did hear from it were not very good, and that's Countess with Ancient Lies and Battle Cries. I love Countess's, album from, 1995? I don't remember what it's called. Hold on one second here. Ad Morum Satanae Glory. This album. This album right here is amazing. But I'll put that back later. Yeah, so because of that album, I really, really wanted to hear the new album, and I listened to it, and it was almost laughable. I only listen to one song, so I guess it's not fair to say that the album sucks or anything like that, but yeah, that's just one that kind of upset me, and you know, it's just one of the albums that I didn't get to listen to that I wish I had. Next is another one that I know a lot of people really, really enjoyed, and I've even had friends tell me, you know, about the album, and that's Just In Tune with Misery. I have heard a couple songs from it. It's really, really awesome stuff. Just one of them that got, you know, skipped. It sort of went over my head the first time around, and then I realized that it was really awesome, and then it's now. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but next is another one that I know a lot of people really, really praised, and and this I've only heard one song from, and that's Gorgasm with Destined to Violate. You know, it's a real shame that I missed this album, because Gorgasm has made some amazing music in the past, and I've really enjoyed everything I've heard, but this is just one that it's the one that really saddens me, because I just listened to the one song that I listened to a while back, like yesterday or something, again, and it made me even more upset that I had missed the album, because it's just so fucking good. The next one is actually another bigger name that I know pretty much everybody else has heard, and I just haven't, and that's Incantation with Dirges of Elysium. Incantation is amazing. The songs I've heard from this album are amazing. It's just, you know, same excuse as everything else, just never got around to actually buying it. Now the next one I'm not so upset about. I was in the beginning of the year when I found out this band was releasing a new album. I, you know, had every intention to buy it, and then I kind of just, you know, that me wanting to buy it sort of just fell off, and that's Pathology with Throne of Rain. Pathology had been releasing albums year after year for like the past 4 years or something like that, and they've kind of gotten weaker with each release, and I heard a couple songs from Throne of Rain, and I was not a fan of what I had heard. You know, I prefer Pathology with John Huber, and I know he was only on for like 2 albums, but that's the Pathology that I enjoy. Next is another album that I heard a couple songs from, and I almost bought this album a while back. You know, because when I buy albums, I give them thorough listens multiple times, and that's why none of these albums were, you know, that's why I want to buy the album before I can talk about it and give it a fair, you know, ranking during this list process. And that's Solstafir with Ota, I don't know. The one song I heard, I don't remember what it was called, but it was amazing. You know, it's really, really good stuff, and I really, really wish I had bought it when you know, back when I almost did. Next is Fallujah with The Flesh Prevails. Again, it's just one of the albums, you know, I am not really interested so much in that style of death metal, if you can call them death metal. But yeah, I don't know. I just hadn't heard. I've listened to a couple songs, and the songs are pretty good. I just never got around to buying it. Next is actually one that I didn't know this band was releasing an album this year, and I didn't really I hadn't thought about this band in a while, even though this band's first album is one of my favorite albums of all time. I hadn't thought about this band in a while, so I decided I'll look this band up on Facebook, and I realized I saw that they were releasing a new album, and I was absolutely excited. I was absolutely stoked on the whole thing, and I really, really wanted to buy it, but I think it was like sort of like a Kickstarter thing, and you know, it was already over by the time I saw it, so I never really got a chance to actually buy the album. And that's Voltaire with Raised by Bats. And Voltaire, this, you know, Raised by Bats, from what I understand, is like a goth rock album, but Voltaire is absolutely amazing, and I really, really wish that I had, you you know, looked a little bit sooner so I would have the CD and would have given it multiple thorough listens, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Next is one that really doesn't upset me so much, but I put it on this list because I know missing it might upset a bunch of other people, you know, had they missed it or had they, you know, not listened to it, and that's Burzum with The Ways of Yore. I do not care for ambient Burzum at all. Fallen is the last Burzum album I care anything for. So yeah, this one doesn't really upset me, but this is just a reminder that this album is not going to be on any list. So yeah, fuck off. Just a few more here. Next is another one that really upsets me, and that's Mysticum with Planet Satan. Mysticum has released some amazing albums in the past, and I know that this one is no different. I haven't listened to any songs from it because well, that's not true. Maybe I have listened to one. But either way, you know, I haven't listened to the whole album, and it really, it saddens me to know that I could have and just didn't. Next is one that it was kind of one that I wanted to just give the benefit of the doubt to, and give it a chance, and I didn't. And that's Job for a Cowboy with Sun Eater. I haven't been a Job for a Cowboy fan in like 6 years, so this one really doesn't upset me too much, but like I said, I wanted to give this band the benefit of the doubt, and I heard the single they released, and it wasn't bad, but never got around to listening to anything more than that. Next, I know a lot of people have enjoyed a lot, but this one kind of didn't care to listen to, and that's Entombed with Back to the Front. It's got a dumb album title, it's got an ugly cover, and you know, I feel like Entombed has made their mark. I feel like they're good. I don't feel like they should release albums anymore. But yeah, I did want to hear the album, but I never got around to doing so. So yeah, last two. The first of the last two being Primordial with Where Greater Men Have Fallen. The song I heard from this album is absolutely incredible, but I have not listened to the whole thing. I really wish I had, but I just have not. And the very last one I want to talk about is one that doesn't upset me. You know, I don't care that I missed this album, but I know a lot of people worship this band, and that's Opeth with Pale Communion. I don't care. I don't like Opeth. I liked one of their albums a long time ago, and I just... what album was that? My Arms, Your Hearse, I think it was. Yeah, that's really the only Opeth I've ever cared for. I heard the song they released from it, and not my thing. I'm not a fan of that style of music. So yeah, I don't know how much this video will help. I don't know if it will thin down the people asking, well, where's this album at all? But, you know, this is an album I felt that I wanted to make. So, yeah, stay tuned for the lists that actually matter, coming in the next week or so, I'm sure. So yeah, guys, that's all for this video, and stay tuned because more lists are coming. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay tuned and take care.